I actually don't even think of it as composer's block, because that sort of gives it a power that it doesn't need to have. I think there are three reasons why we can get this. One is if we don't have any inspiration coming to us. The second, we might have some inspiration, but we don't have the motivation to do anything with that. And the third way is if we start telling ourselves stories and panicking about what will happen because we don't have the inspiration at this moment. And only one of those three is a serious problem. When we worry about not having enough inspiration, we're often making the mistake of confusing inspiration with ideas. So it's possible that I might not have any ideas at all. My mind might be blank of ideas. And if I then don't start making music because I think I need to have an idea before I can do anything, then I'm taking away an opportunity from myself, because it might be that I get to my music setup and I start just playing around and doing stuff. And even without having any ideas, things start to happen and things start to flow. So it's a mistake, I think, to wait until we have ideas and then to do something with the ideas. We can just get started without having any ideas. And especially if you're an intuitive composer, but also if you're not, also if you're a conventional composer, I think they face the same issue much of the time. You can just get started and the music can start to flow like that. And there'll be other times when you do have plenty of ideas and nothing happens. You actually sort of sit down and you start to do something with the ideas and nothing happens, or something happens but it doesn't feel very, very good, very high quality music coming out. So there's a number of things in those situations. So what I often find is if it feels like the ideas aren't very good, it doesn't mean that they're not necessarily. And it's really interesting. For my latest string quartet, I had the feeling for all three of the movements. I had the feeling for each one that this is just not very good, that it's just a sort of throwaway piece of music. And now all of them, especially the third one, I think are some of the best pieces I've ever written. And the more I listened to it after making it, the more I thought, do you know, there's a lot more in this than I thought was in it at the beginning. And it really, really grew on me. So even if it doesn't feel very good quality, you can still carry on making it. You can always discard it if it ends up not being very good in the end. And if nothing happens at all and just nothing is coming out, well, you can use that time to do stuff that probably isn't very sexy, stuff that you wouldn't necessarily, want to spend your time on if the inspiration was flowing, like doing the dynamics, which for me is so tedious and it takes so long and it's so much less satisfying than actually making the music. And also it's one of those things that comes less naturally to me than the actual writing of the music. I have to actually think about it. Or you can do other sort of more admin-based tasks, like even if it's like making a list, collecting a list of all of the great ideas that you've got that aren't flowing now, but you could use later to start off other pieces of work. Or to network with other musicians, or in my case, to make videos like this. Although often I have to take time out when the inspiration is there. But some things like this can be done when the music's not flowing. We can't expect the music to be there all the time. And if the ideas aren't coming, it might be a sign, it might be a message to us from ourselves that maybe we need more sleep, maybe we need a sort of better diet, maybe we need something to give us more energy so that we're less fatigued, so that the inspiration can flow more easily. And while we're waiting for that to take effect, there's so many things we can do to make use of the time. And if there's no motivation, if we just can't bring ourselves to do it, or we find ourselves procrastinating and just not sitting down with the music, that's quite a similar thing. We can still do the admin tasks if it's not too strong. If it's a real full-on lack of motivation and we just don't feel like we want to touch anything to do with the music, that can actually also be a really positive thing. It's something we can welcome, because we need to have some sort of balance in our lives. And if that motivation and the inspiration as well are there all the time, we're not going to get any balance. We're going to be ploughing ourselves into the music, and all other aspects of our life will suffer. And we all need a sort of a balanced life. You know, we may have family, we may have other work, and we need to be making a living from the other work that we do. We all have health issues and a need to exercise. We need to look after ourselves in other ways. We need to have a social life. We need so many different things. And when the motivation isn't there for the music, it's probably, again, a sign from ourselves that we need to spend a bit more time looking after ourselves in other ways and looking after other aspects of our life. And if we do that, and if we welcome it, and if we don't get too stressed about it, then we might be surprised after a little bit of a break how quickly that motivation comes back. And the same with inspiration. If the inspiration is lacking, how quickly it comes back when we take a bit of a break. And I see that taking a break as a really positive thing. So now we come to the third aspect, and the only one that can be really problematic if we let it get out of hand, and that's the overthinking. Because humans are really good at worrying about things and catastrophizing and worrying about what will happen. You know, if the inspiration's not there and the motivation's not there, what's going to happen? Have I lost this ability to make music? What if it never comes back? And you know, we replay in our head all this terrible future where we can't do what we want to do and what we really love doing, and we're sort of grieving the loss of this thing when we haven't actually lost anything. We just need to take a break. And if we do that too much, the problem is that's going to push away the return of the motivation and the inspiration when it's ready to come back. We just needed to take a break, and you know, our bodies, our system is then ready to give us access to our intuition and our motivation again. But we block that if we worry too much. So, you know, I think the solution to that is just to welcome any sort of interruption to our flow. We don't have a right. We don't have a, you know, we don't really know what we're doing when we're making music. It's a process that happens through us rather than by us. And, you know, I think a really healthy attitude for it is a feeling of gratitude for every little piece that we're able to do. I think it was John Lennon who said once that every time he writes a song, he doesn't know if it's his last song, because he's not in control of this process. It sort of happens to him. And I sort of feel the same. I even feel the same in the middle of a piece of music. You know, if I do the first movement or the first little bit of a piece of music and then I take a break, then I'm reluctant to come back to it, because I think, well, that first part was really good and I don't think I have the capability to carry on. And you know, what if it's not as good? What if I don't have the motivation? Then I'll ruin what I've already done. It's groundless, and the worry itself is the thing that is going to bring about what you're worried about, which is what I find. So I think the best way is to just let go of this overthinking. The bottom line is it will come back, and it'll come back when it's ready, and it'll come back at the right time. And worrying about it will push away the moment that it comes back, and could potentially do that indefinitely. It might be that we need to make some adjustments to our lifestyle, get more sleep, reduce the stress in our environment, you know, just be in a more conducive flow of life to be able to let that happen, but it will always come back. Anyway, this is how I think about it, and I hope that's been helpful for people.